Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're going to start with roll call. Secretary?
Michael Aldinger. Okay. Mike Anderson.
Here.
Justin Fish.
Here.
Ruth Cannon-Gerard. Here. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Mark Cannon.
Yep.
Rob Carmelo.
Here.
Justin Dove.
Here.
Adam Ferrone. Pat Gordon. Nicholas Heim. Hubert Hines. Andrew Karasak.
Here.
Gavin Kierans. John King.
Here.
Daniel Lersch.
Here.
Sam Lowener.
Here.
Benjamin Lombard.
Here.
Nick Mance.
Here.
Haley McLaren.
Here.
Sean Malloy.
Here.
Samantha Miller.
Here.
Christopher Morrell.
Yo.
You say no? Christopher Knopf.
Present.
Alyssa Ogelberg. Okay. Greg Plum. Kelly Potter. Betty Quinn.
Here.
Christian Ragland.
Here.
Mallory Russell.
Present.
Amy Sanders.
Yep.
Philip Slusser. Sorry. Richard Shemansky. Colleen Smith. Matthew Smith. Michael Smith.
Here.
Ricardo Torres.
Here.
Ian Vickery. Michael Wallace.
Here.
Cindy Wang.
Here.
Kara Zinger.
Here.
Nicole Zini. And then anybody new that I didn't call? Okay. I got you. And then can you,
We'll just go around the room. Would you introduce yourself, Representative?
Gina Shane, and I'm the representative for the Multicultural Green Council.
okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a hand over.
We see that.
Okay, we'll go on.
I got
Okay, Representative, you introduce yourself?
Chris Casbo, Director of Research for the Association.
Okay, moving on. All right, so before you have the agenda for this evening, we're also going to add into new business resolution 28. It will have to be brought to the floor by 2/3 because it did not first go through committee. So with that, any objections to the agenda as it is? Okay, say none. Agenda adopted. Moving on to the past general meeting minutes from last Wednesday. Should have received those minutes via email as usual. Any objections to adopting them? Any changes? Nope, saying none. Minutes adopted. Moving on to open student forum. Are there any students here to address the assembly? Okay. Are you together? Did you come together? All right. You can come up together or independently. Just tell us who you are and what's going on.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Taylor, and this is Katie Weber. We've been recruiting on campus for PowerShift 09, which is a huge youth summit in Washington, D.C. at the end of this month. And it's essentially working to educate about environmental justice and climate change, and it's bringing in 10,000 students from all over the country. So it's a huge opportunity for students and a great experience for students. And there's going to be workshops and panels, a career fair. There's also going to be key speakers such as Van Jones and Nancy Pelosi. And so I just wanted to talk about that to put it all out to you guys, if you wanted to pass on that information, or if anyone wanted my email address, I don't know how I could go about doing that. But yeah, because there's the deadline for registration is this Friday, so if any other students were interested, we're trying to pull in as many students to go because this is such a great opportunity. And also, when we come back from PowerShift, we wanted to do, we're already working with EcoAction and with Penn State Environmental Society, and we just wanted to work more about making our campus more sustainable, working with the community. And so I was also just wondering if any students were interested in helping out with that, or if we can, build coalitions in terms of working for better justice on campus.
Will you stand for questions?
Yeah.
All right, are there any questions? Representative Malloy?
Yeah, how much is registration? Like, you can still register, any student,
Yeah.
from Penn State can register?
Yeah. We have a group started for Penn State students, so that's why I'm saying it's best if people get in touch with me, because I have a listserv going, and then I give out the information on how to join our group, which then is only $45 for registration. But we just received money from UPAC funding, and so essentially the cost is going to be greatly decreased from that, depending on if the student is planning on staying at a hotel with us, or if they have a friend they want to stay with in DC. It is based on what they want to do, but the cost will either be free or greatly reduced.
Any other questions? Representative Karasik?
Thanks for coming to see us this evening. What can we do specifically to help you advertising wise, getting the word out? I know I'm with some search now for you.
that'd be
Maybe
great.
they believe in something like that. What can we do specifically?
Yeah, just get the word out to your groups and to your departments would be a huge help. This is the first I heard about the meeting, otherwise I would have came earlier. But like I said, the deadline to register is this Friday, so if you could do that as soon as possible would be awesome. And just spreading out the word through emails or through word of mouth, because I know we're kind of on a time schedule right now. But besides that, just putting it out there that we're working, that we want to work on campus for environmental causes, and if anyone's interested, to go through EcoAction or PSES or get in contact with me.
Representative Sanders?
Oh, it's from February 27th till March 2nd. So it's going to be that, it essentially starts that Friday evening until Monday. And the workshops and panels and speakers are all weekend. And then there's, on the last day on Monday, it's going to be the biggest environmental lobby day in history, which students can opt to participate in or not to. But there's tons of workshops they can choose what they want to do. So it's a great opportunity.
Representative Lohner?
Can we get your contact information in the minutes?
Yeah, I never heard it. What was your email?
Okay, it's KJT 5071 at psu.edu.
Yeah.
And again, my name is Katie Taylor.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
All right, are there any other students here to address the assembly? No? Okay, moving on to report by the president. President Cairns is in Richmond, getting acquainted with his internship that he's going to have over the summer. So I will give his report. First off, legal services, ongoing meetings with student activity fee board regarding this. Final decision for the funding of legal services will be decided at the February 27th meeting. Again, hopefully this will happen, like we've been saying, mostly throughout this semester. But maybe in the future it could be independently funded, or have a different structure, but right now, to get it off the ground, we're gonna need that kind of funding, so hopefully that will go through. IFC, Representative Slusser and Greek Life Director, Chris Caswell, they were at the President's Council last night, discussing open IFC seat. Chris maybe can talk about that a little bit later, or Representative Slusser if you're interested. Third point, Business and Auxiliary Services dinner. I went last night. Representative Ragland went last night. Representative King, I don't think could make it. But the topic of discussion, which is interesting that you all came tonight, was green initiatives around campus and residence life. For example, doing different kinds of competition programs, measuring water usage meters in dorms, putting recycling receptacles more around campus, different things in terms of restrooms, water consumption. Very interested in student ideas on these. They found that competition works well in kind of marketing scheme for students in the residence halls. Also, a lot of interesting points were brought up regarding what happens around the Commonwealth. For example, at the Altoona campus, there's a garden apparently growing outside of one of their dining commons areas, which encourages students to think about what they're eating and maybe not overeat. I don't know any of the details about that. CCSG was present, and that's what they talked about a little bit. Fourth point, tenant landlord marketing strategy is kind of being implemented in various ways. Probably need to get a little bit more stronger on that. The Legal Affairs Department is going to need to really step it up with that. Well, Huzaifa isn't here tonight, so he can't talk to you about that. Temple Rally on Monday. You're going to have Resolution 28 brought before you this evening. If you choose to pass it, one of the stanzas in it is for $2,200 funding of a bus to go down there. I'll talk about alternatives as well. The tentative schedule is leaving at 7:45 a.m. I think Gavin might have sent an email about this, but 7:45 departure from University Park, arrive there, I guess, 3 hours later. Scheduled to speak, Gavin, etc., around noon, and then leave after a quick lunch, get back here around like 4:30. Football tickets, I am meeting, and a couple other people are meeting, CCSG, GSA, student trustee, are meeting with Joel Diamond and Greg Myford on next Wednesday to discuss the upcoming the 2009 football season ticket process. Probably moving paperless sometime. That's just in discussion still though. Student leadership program, I'm going to begin attending those committee meetings. This is kind of an idea that I kind of wanted to just get more educated about. So I'm going to start going to those meetings. Governmental Affairs Committee, great job on Resolution 27. President Kierans would like to write a letter to accompany the legislation and the other documents that you've brought as attachments to it. Meeting with Scott Conklin, IFC, NAACP, and CCSG. I'm going to do that meeting on Fridays. Discuss state appropriations, suggested course of action, what he can do to help. Thon, again, no dancers, but good luck to everyone that's participating this weekend. We did CAN over the weekend, led by Representative Lombard. That's all I have.
There's no time for questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. Special presentations. We have Vice President and Dean of Undergraduate Education, Dr. Pangborn. So we're going to have 20 minutes for you to tell us a little bit about what you do, and then hopefully stand for questions.
Good evening. It's nice to be here. I thought I might just start out by telling you how I got to Penn State, and then I can tell you a little bit about what I do here. I came here 29 years ago, plus a couple of months from New Jersey. Went to Rutgers, and I guess up to that time I played scarlet and black, but having been at Penn State for over 29 years, I think it's more like blue and white at this point. I was on the faculty in engineering for 15 years as a full-time teacher and researcher. Then moved into the dean's office in engineering for 12 years. Along the way, I spent a year out in Altoona as the CEO, which is now called the Chancellor. And then when I came back to University Park, I moved into the position I'm in now. I have two daughters who are Penn State graduates. One was an English major, went on to graduate school in education, is now teaching high school at State High. And my second daughter was an art major, went up to Boston without a job, got a job with a small internet company about 8 years ago. Last week, the little internet company disappeared as a result of the economy. But along the way, she got a certificate in master bartending. So she feels like she's all set. She's got something to do with the interim between this job and the next one. And then I have a son who's a senior in high school. He's already been admitted to Penn State. He's going to be an engineer, but he's also thinking about jazz instrumentalist. So we'll see how that turns out. In terms of my position here at Penn State, the Office of Undergraduate Education really combines two different things. It has a lot to do with the curricula and the programs that you all are engaged in, but also has the enrollment management side. And that's the admissions office, university-wide, as you probably remember from your days applying to Penn State. Everything in admissions is done centrally for all 20 undergraduate campuses. Also in enrollment management is the registrar's office, record keeping, class scheduling, course scheduling, and finally student aid, which is a pretty big issue these days. So that's basically the Shields operation. And then over on the curricular side, all the new program proposals and approvals go through my office, mainly looking at making sure the right resources are in place no matter where that undergraduate program might be offered, whether it's a campus or one of the colleges here at University Park. We look at the instructor availability and so on, whether that program has a good chance of being well enrolled. We also have a number of programs under the office, the Division of Undergraduate Studies, which some of you may know. Anybody go through DUS or listen to DUS at this point? No? Oh, okay. So DUS actually is the largest entry point for first-year students at Penn State. There's around 1,500 students who started that major, or that collective major, as first-year students, and then, of course, find their way into appropriate colleges along the way. ROTC is under my office. Things like the summer session programs, all the things that students do as they become acclimated to Penn State, placement testing, FitCap, orientation, or at least a good portion of orientation, the academic side of that. So a lot of those things that have to do with getting started at Penn State and moving successfully through the various transitions from the common year major into the majors and so on. There are a variety of other things that support students. The Morgan Academic Center for Student Athletes is under our office. The University Learning Centers, which includes both the peer and supplemental instruction, and the Center for Writing. The support for faculty, the Schreier Institute for Teaching and Learning is under my office. So a variety of things that contribute to both student and faculty success on the teaching and learning side. So that kind of gives you a feeling for different departments that are under my office. As far as some of the things that we're looking at this year that you might be interested in, I think, has everybody seen a little better response from the class registration system this year? So we worked hard on that. It's very difficult in such a big university to make that process more real time. But we're hopeful that you're now seeing the capability to identify when there's spaces in classes and then sign up for them in a kind of a faster response mode. So that's one of the kinds of things that we're working on. We're looking very closely at all the different transitions that students go through as they move from a prospective student, since admissions is part of our overall responsibility, through what happens as you move into the university, the various kinds of processes associated with placement, then the transition from a campus to University Park, or from a common year major into a major. Sometimes both of those things happen, right? But we find that those are kind of typical stumbling blocks. It's a kind of transition that we want to provide the best information and make it as smooth a transition as possible. One of the great things about Penn State, which is very unusual, I think, in relation to peer institutions, is that there is, for a very complex university, a tremendous amount of flexibility and mobility for students. You can move in and out of majors, you can move from campus to campus. There really aren't many restrictions, but we try to do that as seamlessly as possible. And so there's a lot of things that we can do, both online and just in terms of analyzing the processes to make that a smoother kind of process. I think I might stop there and see if there are particular questions you have or issues that you have, because we're always interested in finding those things that aren't working so well and making them more effective.
All right, questions? Representative Lurch.
Thank you for joining us tonight. With the current economic condition of our country and the recent cut in appropriations for Pennsylvania higher education, do you foresee any of the programs that you were talking about being cut or merging in the near future?
Well, we're always looking for economies and places where we can take out the unneeded bureaucracy. So there could be instances where we will merge programs into a single department so that we can save on the administrative overhead. There may be places that we can streamline the curriculum so that we can use courses across various majors rather than have separate courses that have very little difference in one another. So there's certainly economies of that sort. We don't see that there'll be a lot of wholesale collapsing of programs. Merging is probably a more likely scenario, but merging means that the programs still exist. They're simply operating with a single administrative overhead associated with it.
Other questions? Representative Lerner.
I was wondering if you could go into a little more detail about, any detail about your office's work on prerequisite modifications.
Right. Well, this has been a kind of a long project, mainly because it's a pretty complex one, given what we'd like to be able to do. As you know, many courses have prerequisites that are intended to ensure that you have the proper background foundation for taking the subsequent course, for which that course is a prerequisite. What we would like to be able to do is, in those circumstances where it's appropriate, have students, have verification that students have met the appropriate prerequisite. What makes it difficult is sometimes the prerequisites are too soft. Things like, have fourth semester standing, or have a course in whatever, a 300-level course in some discipline. So those things are hard to program. You You can't just have a system which goes in, looks at the student, the registering student's transcript and say, that person has met that prerequisite. We have a lot of students who transfer in courses that are equivalent, so they wouldn't be picked up unless we knew exactly, every potential transfer course that might be substituted for the Penn State course. So, there are a lot of intricacies to doing that kind of programming. Our plan is to look at some key courses where the prerequisites are very, very necessary, and see if we can pilot a program where we would identify those prerequisites and have a very easy way for students to overcome the apparent lack of prerequisites if they've in fact satisfied the curricular foundation. So you would simply go to your advisor, or go to the department, and they would override the system so that you could register during the normal registration time. But at least initially, we're probably a year or 2 years away from having anything that's even a beta version of this. The initiative would roll out very slowly and only in those courses where it's absolutely necessary.
Other questions? Representative Mance?
Dr. Pangel, thanks on that. I was just wondering if you could go into some more detail on Morgan Center for Athletes.
The Morgan Center for Academic Support of Athletes, you may know it's located in the Bank of America, the First Services building. I guess the third floor there. It provides tutoring support for athletes. Athletes, because of their schedules away from campus, going to various events and contests, need to have kind of a rigorous approach to study hours and the support they need to keep up in their classes. They do have pretty strict requirements about how many hours they can actually miss in class, but it's inevitable if you're going to Big Ten schools that are difficult to get to from the eastern fringe of the conference, that they're going to miss some class. So this is a way that we make sure that athletes get the support they need to move along. I don't know if that answers your question. There are advisors for each sport, so typically the counselors, the academic counselors, will be working with students on a given team. And so they really understand what the requirements of being on that team are and the times when students would be most affected by their sport schedule.
Other questions? Mr. Caravello?
Thanks for coming very much. This has to do with the current economic climate as well as the financial difficulties of the university. But I was wondering, specifically in admissions, is there any emphasis or can you project that there might be a shift in enrollment for out-of-state or international students versus in-state, or any other responses, financial responses the university might take, increasing enrollment and so forth to try and bring in more revenue?
Well, we certainly don't increase out-of-state enrollments for the purposes of increasing revenue. That's not the motivation. The motivation, really, there are several. One is we want some geographic diversity. Penn State, historically is a land-grant institution. It was created to serve the sons and daughters of the Commonwealth. But as a major public research university, we're also interested in having students who reflect the diversity of the country and the diversity of the world. So while we're doing some recruiting primarily in contiguous states, because we're also looking at some declining enrollments at the high school level in Pennsylvania, particularly in the western part of the state, we want to make sure that we have enough students coming in for those campuses that are located out in the western Pennsylvania. International students are a segment of the prospective student population that we are recruiting pretty heavily because we historically have been very, very low in terms of the undergraduate international enrollment. We've always had pretty substantial participation of international students at the graduate levels, as you probably see, some of the classes, teaching assistants and so on. But at the undergraduate level, we'd like to see more students coming in to Penn State, and we'd like to have more of our students traveling to other countries and studying abroad kinds of arrangements. So the motivation for increasing the out of Pennsylvania component, whether it's out of state or out of country, is really motivated more by what we'd like to see as a kind of appropriate mix of students, not by economics. Having students pay a little bit more, and of course international students don't have access to some of the other kinds of student financial support that U.S. or Pennsylvania students in particular have. So they kind of pay full freight, but they don't take away financial aid from students who would qualify for it because of their U.S. or Pennsylvania citizenship. So that's kind of a win-win situation for everyone.
Other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you for being here.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to old business, none. Moving on to new business. First we have the election of Representative Christina Boggs for the position of at-large. She went through steering committee on Sunday night. So she's here to be confirmed by you if you would like that. So introduce yourself, just kind of like you did in steering.
Chrissy Boggs, I'm a sophomore, double majoring in history and international politics. Right now I'm involved with the Liberal Arts Undergraduate Council, and within that council I sit on the Turner Fellows Advisory Committee. In high school I was really involved with student leadership. I was president of National Honor Society and Future Business Leaders of America. I was also field hockey captain for a year. I just really wanted to continue that in college, and that's in a nutshell. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, any questions?
This is so much easier than steering committee.
Representative Malloy?
Yeah, we always have, someone usually asks, where did you hear about the position? You're being open, and what's the real deal behind you wanting to do this, other than being a leader?
I actually heard from Sam Loner and Richard Schmansky. They're both in the LAUC, so they were talking about the open position in our last meeting. I'm really interested in the governmental affairs and student life aspect of the PUA. So I see myself working really hard in either one of those aspects. I know with Resolution 27, dealing with Governor Rendell, that's something that really hits home for me, the whole financial issue and the cost of education. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, so I transferred and had 3 kids in college 3 years in a row. So I need to be involved with that kind of aspect and, just representing the state student body is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Other questions? Okay, so I would like you to leave the room. We're going to have discussion and then we'll vote. And we'll let you back in. Thank you. All right, congratulations. You are now part of the assembly, so you can actually take your seat up here, and we'll get you a name tag for next week. But first, you have to take the oath of office.
All the new representatives that weren't sworn
Go ahead.
in. All the new representatives who are present get to come up and take the oath of office too. We're just going to wait because it's convenient now. So, Representative. Oh yeah, I thought you did. Okay. So anyone non-sworn in has to be sworn in. So.
How many votes?
Well,
Who's from MCC?
Yeah, I need.
Can't be worse than Gavin.
Okay. All right, you guys ready?
Vice President, please stand.
Would you like me to stand? I know. Okay, you ready? This is the first and probably only time I get to do this. All right. I promise to faithfully uphold the Constitution of the University Park Undergraduate Association. I promise to faithfully uphold the Constitution of the University Park Undergraduate Association and to defend the rights of each individual student while working toward the betterment of student life. I shall perform to the best of my ability the responsibilities and duties that have been entrusted to me by the University Park Undergraduate Student Body through virtue of the office which I hold. Yeah. It'll be 26. All right, moving on, Resolution 27, can we have an introduction by Governmental Affairs?
Okay, in front of you is resolution 27, and I know you all saw this over the email, the agenda. What I do want to point out are the two appendices that Governmental Affairs attached with this. They don't change the nature of the legislation at all, they're really more explanatory to help clarify some things in the legislation. Appendix 1. And this is a timeline of the entire push that Governmental Affairs is trying to do in terms of the recent information that came out about appropriations or lack thereof to the state. So, just to run through that with you quickly so everyone can kind of get a feel of the whole movement being made is February 18th, today obviously disposing legislation preparing an invitation to the governor. This legislation is solely intended to invite the governor here till March 4th. It's not meant to be a letter to address him about appropriations, there's no views wrong or anything like that. That may come further down the line, but that's not the intention of this, so please just be clear about that. The week of February 23rd, before the end of this week, that's up to the Governmental Affairs Committee to decide pending this passing or not. We will travel to Harrisburg to hand deliver the legislation and the invitation to the governor. They are aware that the legislation is being brought forth tonight, and they have promised to at least put it through the scheduling to think about it and, take that for what it's worth, but they are expecting us in Harrisburg shortly if this were to pass. March 4th is Tuition Awareness Day, and on here we just put some of the planned programming that we have for that day, and that includes phone banking to legislators, rally and rotunda sign-ups, different speakers, including the governor, different philanthropy information and presentations so that people can get an idea of where other money comes to the university, and that's not all just appropriations. And also, that is where we will have a letter that we're going to get an massive amount of students hopefully to sign on that day. That letter will be a more direct calling out of the governor, if you will, and that's where we want to maybe take a more harsh tone. That's not what we want to do with the invitations, we want them to come. But there is a letter in the works, and we are looking to have that be massively signed by the student body and not just be a voice of UQA, but rather of all Penn State. March 16th is Capital Day. That's organized by the Grassroots Network. And CCSG and any UQA representatives who might be able to go down that day are going to take that opportunity to drop off literature about Rally and Rotunda to the legislators' offices so they're aware of it for the Wednesday. And Wednesday is Rally and Rotunda. CCSG takes a primary role in planning that. We are helping. That's the trip to Harrisburg. It's an opportunity to meet with your legislator wherever you are registered to vote if you're registered in Pennsylvania. And there's also a planned hour of programming that happens in the rotunda where there's a mixture of student speakers and legislators who speak to the issue, the press is there, etc. So that's the rundown of kind of the whole movement that we're trying to make with, in terms of what's going on with appropriations and the vehicle reform. The second appendix that you'll see in front of you is a draft of the invitation to the governor. The Government Affairs Committee has worked extremely hard on the language of this. So just so you know, it's not an invitation that's meant to attack the governor, because if we can be realistic about this, if we sent him a scathing invitation, he's not going to come because he's already not obligated to come. This is a request we're making. We're hoping that he'll honor our request, but the odds are already slim as it is, and I think that a message that's too harsh is only going to push him further away. There will be a time for us to make that stance, but this is not it. So I do ask you to read that over carefully. We are very respectful. He is the governor of Pennsylvania, and you have to address him with a certain level of respect, and we are trying to do that in this invitation. So I think I've covered pretty much everything. The legislation will be, if passed, delivered with the letter. The Government Affairs Committee is going to invite him to the March 4th event. What we're hoping for is a sealed approval from the Assembly, and that's what this legislation is to say. We also have the student government of Penn State behind us. It's not just the committee, and that's what we're asking you to consider today. So I'm done.
Questions? Representative Szymanski?
Yes, how does one become involved in Capitol Day? I haven't seen a sign or sheet for that or anything yet.
Because it's organized by the Penn State Grassroots Network, it's something that they kind of invite certain students to. It's supposed to be the day where it's more kind of administrators and kind of big shots from the state go down. It's not really too many students, but I can, if anyone's interested, organize a larger trip to go help drop off literature. I don't know that we can get into the meals that they have planned and things like that, but if people do want to go help drop literature, we obviously can definitely do that.
Representative Karasik?
Is there a reason, or would it be better for this, since we are voting on the resolution, for this letter to be coming from the Assembly as a whole, or from the organization as a whole, rather than just from the committee?
I mean, we can look into that. I think because it is so event-centered, that's why we made it from the Committee on Governmental Affairs, and because it isn't really about, we all know it's about the larger issue at hand, but this invitation addresses solely the March 4th between noon and 1 to speak. The legislation behind it would kind of be the voice of the committee saying we have the support behind us, but if that is something you guys want to discuss, I prefer to keep it to this committee, but obviously that's up to you guys.
Representative Bish?
Other universities across the state that have the same position as us.
I know that Temple is having their rally on Monday. I'm not sure what Lincoln have planned. We are trying to get in contact with them continuously for the Pennsylvania State Association thing, but what the committee is mainly concerned now with this invitation is Penn State. Like, those are the students we're representing, so in the end, we have to make them our first priority. That's what I'm saying.
Representative Lohner?
I'd say a couple of questions. Mostly this, I guess, isn't dealing necessarily with the exact language of the resolution, but sort of the larger scope of this project that you have lined out in the specific one. It seems like, well, obviously you're doing a lot of time with the tuition aspect, but I think the increased appropriations tuition really isn't necessarily the biggest thing that affects students and that Commonwealth of Pennsylvania overall. The administration said programs like Pentech and TAP, and extension programs and stuff, those are pretty much going to be personal shopping, especially really the increased appropriations. So I was wondering if you have plans to integrate those into the larger scheme of the government affairs, because those are, I think, overall going to affect students just as much as well.
Right. What we've been asked them to do, somebody is looking at your question, is to do research, if they like to collaborate with on this project, do research into the funding that each individual college is getting, and how much of it is coming from donors, how much of it is coming from the NSA budget, to kind of educate each set of college students and pass through about specific programs that would be personal to them. So we are looking into it in that aspect. In terms of what we're asking the governor to address, we are asking him to address not the rising cost of tuition at Penn State, even though that's what we're thinking of. It's more the appropriations, whatever they're covering, and also the, even more specifically, the video poker funding, because I think that we may discuss this, and chances are, if the money isn't there for appropriations, we might not get that number up, but our most concrete, the more concrete goal for us to work towards is getting state-related universities, specifically Penn State, included into the video poker funding program. So while that will push the programs you're addressing, it still will help the students. But we are looking into getting personal college information on different programs rather than this.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions, so we're going to just move right into discussion. Discussion on Resolution 27. Representative Slusser?
I think this is a great idea for him to try to come, because maybe we're not looking at it as a whole, we're just looking at it here. For him to come and explain his reasoning behind it, maybe there's an underlying factor that will eventually be something like that. So it's definitely a good idea just to hear everything he has to say about it, rather than just us student thinking Penn State Center.
Representative Miller?
Sorry, I meant to do this when I was presenting it, but the university put together some charts and diagrams and graphs and things like that about Penn State appropriations over history, and they shared those with me today, so I'm just going to pass them around in case you guys are interested in taking them on.
Further discussion. Representative Lohner?
I think kind of, this isn't really a question I was asked before, but I guess kind of what I really would encourage everyone in the Affairs Committee to do down the line would be to really focus on Rendell's, I don't think he's going to view tuition as a humanitarian issue as much as he's going to view the huge employer that Penn State is, huge contributions to the Commonwealth that he makes. And I mean, obviously, he's not going to be with us forever, and obviously, tuition is at the front of the mind of most students. But that's kind of what I was getting at. I think, obviously, you don't want to put it in this letter, but throughout the process, the March process we've got here, I think that would be really wise. Especially, I mean, there's just so many programs that we have for the whole state, and I think he would hate to have to start addressing how he's going to be responsible for the next.
You're right. Penn State is the largest non-governmental employer in the state. Representative Lersch?
Sam, to address a few things you said about our continuation from March, really our ultimate goal in government affairs is to eventually end up working with the other quasi-state institutions plus the state funded institutions with the students as the student association, and they'll address all of those situations as a whole, on state collaboration, because really, the cut appropriations, like you said, it affects students, it does affect the employees, and it's not just Penn State, probably this is just us, as Penn Staters, starting grassroots, but in the end, to be really successful, we have to make it a state Commonwealth issue, make the Commonwealth get behind it, and then attack it. And that's the ultimate vision right now. This is just a step forward to, getting that process completed. So.
Representative Miller?
And also, to Sam, the invitation isn't extremely specific in what we're asking him to address. We're asking for an explanation, and if you were to agree to come, and if you want to work with us on that, that'd be great. We can really try to put in some specific questions and say these are questions that students are really asking. If you could address these in your speech, that'd be great. Obviously, we can't guarantee what he says, but we certainly can push that end of things and ask him to address how he tends to go with that. So if that's something you want to work with us on too, if just sort of work out, let me know.
Representative Karasik?
Sam, if his schedule is already booked for the 4th, and he can't make it here, do we have a contingency plan to incorporate it into the event, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, the March 4th event is gonna just have to happen, because that's what we have reserves, but if the governor can come another day, we can make it a two-part event, we can make a whole new event for it. We will obviously work around his schedule if he's willing to come at all. We understand that his, his schedule is busy, and chances of him coming on March 4th aren't 100% or even anywhere near there, so if he can come any other date, we can do March 4th and do something for that too.
Representative Lurch?
And also, Andrew, a big thing about this is if we can at least just entice the governor to go on record, even if he, says in Harrisburg and directly addresses the situation in more detail than just, in light of the economic hardship that the Commonwealth is facing, but actually go into more detail, like, we're cutting this because this is more important. Have that on record. I mean, like I said, remember, in the long run, it's about the student association, it's about, the Commonwealth student body as a whole getting together. Something like that is very beneficial. And then, going to the governor and saying, you said on record, and this is why, we think otherwise, or we think, you should be giving us more assistance. So, I mean, even if he doesn't come, just having him say something like that, address the student body, even if it is just from his desk in Harrisburg, would be a big benefit in going forward.
Further discussion? Mr. Gabello?
I just want to commend Samantha and her committee for the hard work they done on this, and also taking into consideration some concerns Steering had on Sunday night. I think the appendices really do explain the resolution in a lot of detail and shows the amount and volume of work that the committee did put in to this project. And I really do hope it's successful, and that you put sign-up sheets and so forth, get as many people involved for the events coming up. And with that, I move to end debate.
Any objections to ending debate? Okay. Roll call, Secretary?
Michael Aldinger. Justin Fish.
Yes.
Mark Hannon.
Yes.
Oscar Baylor.
Yes.
Justin Joe.
Yes.
Nicholas Hine. Hubert Hines.
Yes.
Andrew Karasak.
Yes.
John King.
Yes.
Daniel Lurch.
Yes.
Sam Lohner.
Yes.
Benjamin Lombard. Stephen Lucas. Nick Nance.
Yes.
Haley McLaren.
Yes.
Sean Malloy.
Yes.
Samantha Miller.
Yes.
Christopher Morel.
Yes.
Christopher Knock.
Yes.
Alyssa Olkenberg.
Here.
Greg Plum. Kelly Potter.
Yes.
Megan Quinn.
Yes.
Christian Ragland.
Yes.
Amy Sanders.
Yes.
Philip Slusser, sorry. Richard Chemansky.
Yes.
Colleen Smith. Matthew Smith.
Yes.
Michael Smith.
Yes.
Michael Wallace.
Yes.
Kara Zinger.
Yes.
Gina Chang.
Yes.
Gretchen Bond.
Yes.
Robin Engel.
Yes.
Chris Caswell.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Okay, Christina Boggs.
Bless you.
Resolution 27 passes. Vote till
It doesn't matter, and so always in the house.
Okay, moving on to resolution 28. I can introduce this on Gavin's behalf. So basically these are different funding allocation or money allocations from our money that we received from Student Affairs. Under the recommended course of action, you will see each different expense need. So first we have reimbursement needed for Ms. Canavaraja for some money she spent upfront, $50. Jordan Casino in the Legal Affairs Department for some handbills that he created. Third, the AV equipment, audiovisual equipment that we use in this room, using right now. It was going to be about $600 something, but we kind of deal with the hub, and we're going to pay $312. Fourth, we have Rally for Relief, the equipment that was used on the steps of Old Main, total of $250. And lastly, if you turn your page over, we have a $2,200 expected fee for the 44-passenger bus that we want to use for a trip down to Temple. I did not include with this resolution an attachment, an appendix, if you will, giving you another option, but if any of you checked your emails, I believe Gavin sent out, President Kieran sent out an email that said option 2 would be to drive in our own cars and then be reimbursed for gas, which would obviously be a lot cheaper than a $2,200 expense on a bus. I put the $2,200 here on this legislation so that you can change it if you want with an amendment, but there you know the two options. Also, the treasurer can take questions for this, so that's where we're at.
The motion is to bring this to the floor by 2/3. We'll take questions though for the introduction. So if there are any questions for the Vice President, Representative Karasek?
Who would be able to drive that day? I know who has cars, but who's willing to drive?
I don't know. I didn't receive any responses from that email. I didn't see any. Gavin did not tell me if he received responses. I think there were like 2 people besides myself that he had gotten confirmation from, but if anyone wants to drive, please let us know.
Further question, Representative Slessor?
Where did the $2,200
$2,200 is the fee from Fleet Services for the bus that our advisor kind of worked out to get that bus for us. It's one of the nicer buses, I believe, I was told. 44 passenger, maybe that's not necessary. Maybe we just need a smaller vehicle. Maybe we just need to take our own cars. These are all things to consider. Make amendments if you must.
Representative Knott?
Concerning the quality of the audio-visual equipment, we worked out a system where we're giving this for cheaper, future, or free as never needed it would be before they mess up the costs.
Yeah, you know what? I thought the same thing. Mr. Cabello could answer that more clearly because he had discussion with them.
Well, with the transition of the head of the hub, partially contribute to it, but this was also the impression I got from President Lewis, who I thought worked out a deal, but it was never written down. And so one of those scenarios in which it was just kind of agreed to that we went from having a projector at every single meeting down to having that occasionally in a couple meetings, then we could basically make use of it for free. The hub stance on it is that we get the room for free, which is over $200 a night. We'll also get the audio equipment, the stands, the furniture for free as well, because that's normal operation expenses. However, we won't get special equipment such as a projector. One of the rationales is that the bulbs burn out very quickly. So they are going to give us a discount rate, and they did here too. It's $104 per rental. And so I know at steering we've considered possibly recommending, but next time we just buy a projector and maybe share among the student governments or something like that. It would be a lot cheaper than renting, even at a discounted rate in the future. Further questions for the Vice President? Representative Szymanski?
Want to recognize Liberties.
If there are any objections, floor is yielded.
Yeah, I sent an email to Gavin saying that I can do it for the floor.
Yeah, he sent in that email that I could drive. I actually have an exam. I think he just forgot. I'm gonna go, but I gotta rush back quickly. So I don't think that I'm gonna be able to take anyone back with me. Unless you wanna come back really early.
Are there any other questions on the merits bringing the resolution to the floor by 2/3, since this is somewhat an emergency? Okay. Are there any objections to bringing this to the floor for 2/3 for discussion? Okay, seeing none, the resolution is brought to the floor by 2/3, and turn it back over to Valerie.
You can share if they have questions.
Okay, for the remainder of this resolution, I guess I'll chair. Are there any questions on the actual substance of the resolution now for the Vice President? Mr. Kaiser?
Well, we can't be going about this thing on Monday with, if some people show up, we pay $2,200 for a bus, and then if some people show up, it's fine, and if nobody shows up, then now we have a wonderful empty bus to take down to Temple and just show off. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, if we have too many people going and we only have 2 cars going, then we have another problem. So what we really need is, we know how many people are planning on going, we give a commitment, we kind of gotta.
So you want some organization. Also,
Is that a question directed to the Vice President?
Yes.
you're staring at me all the time.
Just checking.
Normal. Yeah, I agree. I'm a little bit lost on this as well, but I do know that this was an effort decided by IFC, NAACP, CCSG, and UPUA. So the leaders of all 4 of those government and organization types.
Would they be sharing?
Possibly. See.
The buses, but the bus is, the bus is.
Representative Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman Cabello. The bus is $2,200, so we're allocating $2,200. If we're taking other people, we're footing the bill for this. If I may ask this, how many people are going, not planning on going, I'm trying to need a commitment, are going to the tuition, I'm assuming Damon's gonna give us permission to this classes, so how many people are going next week? So that's an overwhelming number.
He is not giving us permission.
He's not giving us
Yeah, he doesn't really have authority anyways, but,
So he did it once, but he's not doing it again.
apparently, yeah.
Maybe.
So, could you raise your hands again, just so we can have a count for the record? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 7 people who are definitely committed, 8 people who are definitely committed.
Gavin,
9 for Gavin, who can definitely attend. 10. He definitely can. Are there any other questions of clarity, or can we just move into discussion? Mr. Wallace?
Just a quick question, Val, what kind of car do you have?
I have a 5-passenger sedan.
Any further questions on the legislation, or we'll just move right into discussion? Okay, we'll move into discussion right now. Representative Slusher.
Have you looked at other fleet options like the 15-passenger vans and that sort of thing?
No, but that would probably be a good amendment to this resolution.
Right now, it says that on line 1 on page 2, it says $2,200 for a bus. If we wanted to make that a general, and I would recommend that the Assembly, someone make a motion to do that, make that just $2,200 at the discretion of the President to use whatever vehicle is the most appropriate. I think that would probably be a better way of phrasing this instead of fixing it to buses, but that's up to you guys. Further discussion. Representative Lumber. Yes, we are.
I'd like to move so, making an amendment to what you just said. We'd like to allocate to the President discretionary funds in the amount of $200 to decide what
So you're moving to amend line 1 of page 2 to remove the bus. So it reads, allocate $2,200 to pay for transportation to and from Temple University. Is there a second to the motion?
I have. Okay. I have a friendly.
Go ahead, if there's an amendment.
I would say, let's take out the date and just give the president $2,200 for future travel, because if Lincoln's gonna have one of these, Pitt's gonna have one of these, if we need to pay for a rally in the Rotunda, it's just, there's no reason why we should have to be bogged down every time we need to travel somewhere. So just give him $2,200 that we would be spending anyway.
We can treat that as a separate amendment, Representative. So the amendment that's been moved and seconded is to remove the bus from transportation from line 1 of page 2. It's been seconded, we'll discuss it. Any discussion of the amendment? Representative Malloy?
I really think that we should say something more along the lines of allocate up to $2,000 to pay for bus transportation. Because I know up to $2,000 for either transportation, and then leave that in their hands. I would really prefer cars. I mean, it was great we had our rally here, but like there was like 44 people-ish, maybe in the media that was present there, and that was here at Penn State during the school day. This is in Philadelphia in the middle of the school day. So I'd love to have 44 people go, but us having more than 3 or 4 cars, I just don't see that really happening. So I would say either if we could maybe allocate up to $2,000, or maybe just say 4 cars, individual cars going. But I don't think that the bus should be on the table at all.
We're discussing the amendment to remove the clause, the bus, so that it's
So I oppose
2,200.
the amendment as presented.
Thank you, I was just about to ask you that, Representative. Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Lombard, please stand.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm confused because if we're removing it, just saying transportation in general, doesn't that cover that?
Representative Malloy, you can respond.
But that still leaves the possibility of using the bus.
If the demand is there.
But then, so it'd be up to the discretion of the president to say, okay. Alright.
Further discussion on the amendment, Vice President Russell.
Yeah, just so everyone's clear, yeah, the bus would be $2,200. And right now, I don't see 44 people in this room going to use it. So chances are, we're not gonna pay $2,200 for the bus. It will be nice to have a little extra. So if you do just bump it down to $2,000, it's going to totally prohibit us from using a bus. If we do see the need for it, find out some more responses over the weekend. And again, if other organizations want to use it, they can kind of contribute to it later as well.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Harrison.
I have an amendment to the amendment. Allocate $2,200 to pay for travel around the Commonwealth for issues regarding state appropriations, period. This money will be paid to, actually no, period, and that's it. For the remainder of the semester, well,
For the third December.
Could you please submit what you wrote down in your paper?
I don't think you want it.
I'll prefer reading it, the secretary needs to type it. The motion is to amend the amendment to eliminate basically all of the last paragraph so that it reads, allocate $2,200 to travel around the Commonwealth regarding state appropriation issues for the remainder of the semester. Is there a second for the amendment?
Sorry.
Is there a second? I'm sorry. Is there any objection to it? Okay, discussion of the amendment to the amendment? President Malloy?
Yes, I think the initial amendment was proper. I think the only way it should be amended, it should be amended to allocate up to $2,200 to pay for bus transportation to Temple University. Then I think if anything else is going to come through on transportation, we should be alerted to it. And I'll talk about my other concerns with the spending aspects of this resolution later. But in regards to this amendment, I think that we should stick with the Temple University and possibly change it to up to, which would then maybe leave money later for other ventures down the road. Thank you.
Is there further discussion on the amendment to the amendment? Representative Mott?
Support the amendment because when you think forward, it's really gonna free up the assembly to act quickly. Like say one of the other Commonwealth campuses, Commonwealth universities tries to put forth a rally, and we don't have the time to draft a resolution and really get there. But this amendment, the money will already be free, and also something that we have to keep in mind is elections are coming up, and I believe that if we allocate this money, then we don't have to burden the incoming assembly with having to draft legislation. They're already going to have the money allocated so they can, go take care of all of this solution stuff.
Further discussion on the amendment to the amendment, Representative Harrison?
Encouraging that, I left out at the discretion of the president, so that should actually be part of the amendment.
That's implied.
Okay.
Any funding in these ways implied the executive board has the discretion.
Okay.
Further discussion on the amendment, Representative Malloy.
Yes, I would say we would not want to take away the duties of the incoming assembly. I think that these would be simple resolutions that they would be able to write. They need to learn how to write these resolutions. I think that they could easily put together a simple spending bill to authorize the executive board to use money. I don't think we should belittle the next assembly that much. They're not even declared candidates yet. So I think that I still stand opposed to the amendment.
Is there further discussion on the amendment to the amendment? Is everyone clear on what the amendment's intent, the amendment to the amendment's intent to do? Are we ready to vote? Okay. All those in favor of the amendment which reads from line 1, allocate $2,200 to travel around the Commonwealth regarding state appropriation issues for the remainder of the semester, replacing the entire last paragraph of the resolution, please raise your hand now. Aye, please. All those opposed? The amendment fails, or the amendment passes, excuse me, 19-9. So the amendment as amended is basically what I just said, since it was an encompassing amendment. So we're in discussion of the overall amendment, which we just debated. So if there's any objection, we'll just assume the amendment passes. Is everyone clear on that? The amendment was an encompassing amendment, so we just amended the entire thing, so there's no reason to re-debate exactly what we just passed. So if there are any objections, the amendment to the resolution, Representative Karasik will pass. Okay, seeing no objection, the amendment passes. We're now back in discussion of the overall resolution as amended. Is there any further discussion on Resolution 28, Representative Malloy?
Yes, in regards to the overall resolution, this was brought to the floor as an emergency measure, but half the things on here were not, were things that could have became last week or previous assemblies. And I don't know why the exec board decided to throw them in here with this omnibus type of thing. And now just given $2,200 at the discretion of the executive. I just feel that the exec board could be handling money better, and I don't know if rewarding them with $2,200 discretionary funds is the right thing to do. However, overall, this money, the amendment passed, and this money is needed to help further the causes, although many of them have already finished, of UQA and fighting for the students. So I would say vote for this bill, but remember in the future that we need to watch where all of our money is going. I mean, we've debated, $100 and $50 at points about different programs and flyers, and we just passed $2,200 with a whim. So I would just say, put your money where your mouth is and be good stewards of the money you have before you do it.
On that regard, Representative Malloy, I will be having a discussion with Gavin that the $200 for the rally relief that was authorized, or at least he pledged on behalf of UQA, never was approved by the Assembly, and I will be having some strong words with him regarding that issue. Further discussion on Resolution 28. Valerie?
Yeah, just to follow up, I meant to introduce this with an apology, and I know this is not best practices, so I can kind of do that on behalf of executive. I do apologize, and I know that having, 5 different stanzas here is allocating money for before the event and after the event is not best practices, so on behalf of exec, I do apologize.
Further discussion, Representative Szymanski.
I motion and debate on the resolution.
Is there a second to end debate? Is there any objection to ending debate on Resolution 28 as amended? Is everyone clear on the resolution? Secretary, call the roll.
Justin Bish,
Yes.
Mark Cannon,
Yes.
Ralph Cabello,
Yes.
Dustin Dove,
Yes.
Nicholas Heim, Hubert Hines,
Yes.
Andrew Gersak,
Yes.
John King,
Yes.
Daniel Lurch,
Yes.
Sam Loner,
Abstain.
Benjamin Lombard,
Yes.
Dave Vance,
Abstain.
Haley McLaren,
Yes.
Sean Baylor,
Same.
Samantha Miller,
Yes.
Christopher Morel,
Stay.
Christopher Knock,
Yes.
Alyssa Opelberg,
Yes.
Greg Pong, Kelly Potter,
Yes.
Megan Quinn,
Yes.
Christian Ragland,
Yes.
Amy Sanders,
Yes.
Philip Slusser, Richard Szymanski,
Yes.
Matthew Smith,
Yes.
Michael Smith,
Yes.
Michael Wallace,
Abstain, please.
Kara Zager,
Abstain.
Gina Chang,
Yes.
Gretchen Vaughn,
Yes.
Robin Engel,
Yes.
and Christina Boggs.
Yes.
Resolution passes 20-06.
Okay, moving on. Liaison reports, Graduate Student Association, Joanne Olson.
Slow week.
Nothing, okay. Any questions? All right, moving on to Arsh, Kayla? Nothing? Any questions about Residence Hall life? Okay, moving on. Report by the Association Directors and Staff. Chief of Staff Mike Anderson, you want to give us the rundown?
Do you have the paper that I asked you to distribute?
Yes, it has been distributed
Okay.
throughout Assembly.
Okay, then you've all seen the report. Quick update on the copier paper. Yeah, that's why you only got one copy. Same story as last week. I'll give you a quick rundown and Justin can jump in at the points where I'm wrong. Basically, we tried to acquire about $1,000 worth of copying paper in white and color with a bunch of other stuff that the previous staff assistant had put together last semester. We got the purchase order, tried to just go do it. But we don't have $1,000 to purchase all those things in our general fund. So then we tried to get it out of the copier and maintenance fund, but now UPAC won't let us use that money because they're saying that the paper doesn't fall under the purview of copier and maintenance. So we had to go through that little red tape incident with them, trying to get them to transfer the fund. They won't let us transfer the funds. So what I think we're going to do is just order $500 worth of white paper with the money that we have, just so we'll have some paper in the office. And then if you want other supplies, we'll have to find money elsewhere. But that paper, that purchase order will be filed within the next 24 hours, and that paper should be in there hopefully by Friday, but if not, by Monday or Tuesday next week.
All right, any questions for any of the directors? Representative Lohner?
Ryan, line up what's the fact of using the air copier, not using paper. I'd love your final.
Well, they're saying that money that's left over from the copier can only be used on maintenance. So because the budget line item says copier and maintenance, I guess they feel shackled to copier and maintenance. So I understand the irony.
Representative Karasik?
I'll be in UPAC in the next few days. I'm gonna audit our budget from last time. I sat in on that budget, I voted on that budget. We gave paper. I don't remember if it was with the copier, or if there was an understanding, it's not reflected in the allocation letter, or if it should have come somewhere else. But I remember allocating paper to UPUA. So I'll look into that, and I will actually look at our exact budget and allocation letter, unless of course they barred it from the office.
Yeah, I think we saw the paper line, right, Justin? That's there, but it's just not enough to cover the original $1,000 purchase order that we were hoping to put in that included paper clips and all the other stuff, you know. If you know the previous staff assistant, she was into that stuff.
Any other questions? All right, moving on. Committee reports, steering, Mr. Cavallo.
Reports in front of you, I just want to give a brief update on one point. I'm looking at it. I did meet with the student judiciary on Tuesday to discuss a merger of the hearing board positions into UPA Board of Arbitration. And it didn't go as well as I thought, to be quite honest. Mr. Karasik might have a different opinion. I was a little bit shocked, and I think the concern expressed by previous assemblies on some of the character of these individuals were realized. They're very qualified, intelligent students, but they had an uncanny slant and bias towards the administration, as far as to say that administrators are the best representatives to appoint students to these processes. When I asked them why students would be sitting on these boards to expel, they agreed that it was to provide a student representative position, but they did not think that it was in their job description to interact with students in any way, or to attempt to gauge student opinion, or to attempt to experience the diversity of Penn State students. And they felt very comfortable relying on the expertise of administrators and appointing them to this position as opposed to elected student leaders. So that's why I got out of the meeting. Towards the end, we had a much more productive conversation. They didn't seem really opposed to moving forward with the plans. It was kind of out of their hands. Regardless, it's going to be a decision made by Judicial Affairs and Student Affairs. And they did provide some good input into the process of presidential nominations and some issues regarding privacy. So I think it was an overall constructive meeting. Some of their concerns are very valid. I was, like I said, a little concerned about, I wouldn't classify it, I guess, as character, but some of their philosophical viewpoints on their role on this extremely important job. So other than that, the committee reports in front of you, and I'll stand for questions.
Questions, Representative Karasik?
I wanted to comment.
I yield the floor, Representative.
Thank you. I stayed for the part after Ralph left because I actually served on the student judiciary. Shocker. With the student judiciary, after Ralph left, it became a little more positive. I think Ralph might have been a little forceful at the beginning and a little overly dramatic, they said, to the student judiciary. But they seemed fairly warm to the idea in the end. They have some concerns. The biggest is they would like the recruitment process and training process for our Board of Arbitration partially to go through JA, which I think is an acceptable compromise, especially obviously the training process, because I went through training in student justice, others do as well. I don't think we're as far off or as negative, I didn't get as negative as impression as Ralph did. Philosophically, they may disagree, but I think they realize that this is what the students want. So I think we're moving towards the implementation.
Other questions for Chairman Cavallo? Representative Shermansky?
Nothing else, saying 0.
Oh, that's a 0, okay. Any other questions?
I will have to say, I do resent being portrayed as a forceful and aggressive negotiator.
Dramatic.
Dramatic and forceful.
Representative Karasik doesn't have any of those qualities.
Never.
Internal development, Chairman Karasik.
Thank you. The biggest thing that IDEA is working on will be coming to you most likely next week. My guess is it's going to be a rather entertaining and heated discussion. We certainly had an entertaining, heated discussion in the hearing this past week about it, and that is the incorporation of UPAC seats into our election process. To give you a preview, and we are not truly, and I would ask you not to debate that now, because that is not what we are looking for. If you have feedback, please give it to me. We don't want this part of the meeting to run on this way. What we are looking at is, that the ID committee stands behind this and has approved this to move forward, is increasing the number of at-large seats from 6 to 8. Now, I know this is a very big deal, so we would be increasing the representation here. There is a part of the student activity handbook that authorizes UPUA to basically, it authorizes us to run, quote unquote, I don't know the exact terminology, the UPAC elections, and that the equivalent of 8 members of UPAC will come to UPUA through the UPUA elections process. What ID is trying to implement is a process whereby our at-large representatives would actually serve a dual role on UPAC to expand that. If you have a problem with that, that's fine. We're going to talk about that next week. You can also contact me, but I urge you to think about that. What this would be doing is beginning a policy control and influence on UPAC, in addition to putting actually elected representatives that are elected by the entire constituency here on UPAC, which is something that they have not had before. If you have questions about that, please ask me, but if you want to debate the merits of that, I would actually save it for next week. You'll have so what will come before you next week is actually an election code amendment and a constitutional amendment discharged by the Assembly. And everything else is there. As you saw, the office is clean, so try to keep it that way. Thank you.
So you're taking credit for the cleaned office?
Considering that I spent 6 hours on Sunday doing it, yes.
Any questions for Chairman Karasik? Okay, moving on to programming. Chairman King.
Sorry, I don't have a committee report. My committee just met today. What we talked about was, since Wally-Palooza, the date has changed, we decided to move the ice cream social and try and make that the new election event. And we're going to be meeting with we're going to try and meet with the elections commission to set it up. Khalil from Florida, Mike Wallace.
Just a few words on Wally-Palooza. It was going very smoothly until we hit a bit of a roadblock. What happened was our new proposed date is May 1st, which has to be approved by our advisor, Mary Edgington, because it's the last day of classes and students can't schedule programming or programs beyond 5 o'clock on that day. So the biggest thing right now is getting Mary Edgington to approve that day. At which point we can go to UPAC. I've already spoken to booking agents. May 1st works for all the artists. So yeah, we just need to get that approved. And once that happens, if it happens, Karasik is going to be the MC. He's going to be wearing a bright orange tuxedo with a top hat and a monocle. And other than that, yeah, if anybody would like to help out at all, go to Mary and tell her that she better first. Where else?
Okay, any questions for Chairman Karasik or Representative Wallace?
It's Chairman.
Oh, Chairman King, sorry. Representative Lombard.
I was just going to say thanks to Ellie and Valerie for doing canning this weekend. We raised about $850, $60-some. Also, as everyone knows, this is fall weekend. We're actually here. So go and support the dancers. Go out this weekend. Pep rally on Friday, on Saturday, stuff like that. For people that did email me about passes, I'll be emailing you soon. Remember, that's 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. we have passes for. Both Saturday and Sunday, the wee hours of the morning. And the dancers are allowed to sleep, so you don't need to sleep. And please let me know if you have any questions about or anything like like that. We have 2 passes, and the only reason we're able to use it if you email me previously, because you have to have the most faint and then you have to do the time to use it.
Other questions for Chairman King? All right, moving on to facilities, Chairman Mance.
Try to keep this brief. Very pleased to report that we're making some good progress with Marsh on the task force. We're going to meet sometime after the bottom this week because the schedule is kind of busy. Looking forward to the IM feasibility project meetings. It's more of a budgeting meeting with there's like 3 phases of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. I'm probably not going to be able to attend all 3 of those, but hopefully my committee members can go for me there. Keep an eye on the pros prom on campus. There's been a little bit of meeting coverage of that on off. Also, I found out today, just through a little admin collegian, believe it or not, that there is going to be a public hearing regarding CAT, Transportation Authority for Center County, over at the State College Municipal Building this Monday, October 23rd at 4 p.m. It's open to public, so I'm saying one is more than welcome to go, but either myself or someone from my committee is definitely going to attend that. Also, if I could just note, one of the reasons why I'm trying not to schedule too much for myself early next week is because I'm actually going to be a dancer with Don, not for UUA, but
How did you get that dancing position?
Where
did that come from?
through off-campus student union, which used to be one of USG's old seats, at least my.
So really you're dancing
No.
kind of for USG.
Sort of, yeah. At least it's staying in the system somehow. You know, it would be great if you guys could come out, support Don, and I'd be flattered. Like Frankie said, if you guys would get a floor pass and come out and sing some pounds of the hours of work, just make my night.
Questions? Representative Harrison?
Just so you know, so facilities knows, I had a call in for each day, I called today, Director of Transportation, regarding the possible implementation of a minimal fee to create 24-hour buses, just to find out how feasible that is, how much it would cost. I was talking to people actually on CAD, like students riding CAD today to see if they were interested, and everyone I spoke to actually indicated that they would be willing to pay a nominal fee of $5 or something like that to have a 24-hour bus service. So that's something that's something I'm going to work on.
Great, that's something that I'd be going on. My committee that would like to jump on to help you all with.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Academic Affairs, Chairman Smith.
I'm sure some of you, maybe I'm just being so I apologize. Green representatives from ISC, you could all be welcome around. I know you're on the class. Thank you, cheers. Next week I have a meeting with the registrar and Amy, who's her representative, I believe. We're working with her on putting together a small advisory committee, basically push along anything that the registrar wants. Obviously, the deep tank we're talking about, there's the 2 facets of higher education, the Shields building and Old Main side, so we're going to need to work more over there in the future. And there's meetings tomorrow night, so we can do attendance. And I'm still doing flyering and commentary about the last 2 weeks ago resolution. And my final piece is anything that Dean Pangborn, Vice President Pangborn, talks about tonight is interesting to him, especially if everything he says is interesting to him. So we try to talk to him even better because next Sunday is coming. That's all.
I make a motion to extend time by 5 minutes. Yeah.
Any objections to extending time for the committee reports? All right, questions for Chairman Smith? Academic Affairs. Okay, moving on, Governmental Affairs, Chairman Miller.
You have my report in front of you, it should explain pretty much everything. There's a sign-up sheet going around, I have no idea where it is, Institutional Awareness Day. Has like the chunks of time, I put 8 slots, I'm not too concerned about filling 8 or anything like that, so just trying to gauge awareness for when everyone can work. I really would appreciate everyone making the effort to be there as much as possible.
Questions? All right, thank Thank you. Diversity in campus life, Chairman Lucas is not here, but Mr. Mello.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I don't have his report, I did not know Steve was unable to come until well before the meeting. I will say that in steering we discussed something that's probably very important that his committee will be dealing with, and that is SAFB increases or our UQA stance on the student activity fee. We'll probably be voting on that next Wednesday, and so if you're interested or have comments or thoughts on whether the student activity fee should be increased, remain the same, decreased, or whatever, please forward those comments on to Steve, as his committee will be discussing that at the next meeting, and we'll be discussing that at the next assembly before next Friday, not this coming Friday, but the 27th, I believe, is the next SAFB meeting.
Any questions about that? Okay, moving on to comments for the good of the order. I just want to start out by saying happy birthday, Penn State. Birthday is on the 22nd of February, 154 years old. Representative Slesser.
Hi, everybody. Like was said at the beginning of the meeting, Gavin, myself, and Executive Director Hadwell met with the IFC President's Council last night. Last night. What we were talking about were the IFC liaison representative seat still open, stressing that it's great that Mr. Castro was elected, but we need a voting member here, and that I can't do because I can't vote twice, basically. And another thing we talked about is getting Greeks, like direct elections, Greeks electing Greeks within student government elections. Because within our elections, there's a separate area where Greeks can go elect any of the Greeks in any given week. They don't have to be in any certain organization, any Greeks, but from the IFC.
That's limited to the IFC.
Yeah. Second, I was in Harrisburg today to try to see the Liquor Control Board. My luck, I got down there and the meeting was canceled, but I didn't let that stop me, so I went and talked to the secretaries there, got the Center of Representative info, went over to the Capitol building, and stopped in Jake Corman's office, talked to one of his secretaries, and found out that it's definitely a borough issue. It's not the Liquor Control Board, it's the Liquor Code, which is decided by the Congress, and there's no law saying that there can't be beer delivery or you have to close at 7 o'clock. So either the distributors I'm talking to are misrepresented by the borough, or they directly lied to me to get me on wild goose chase. So we'll be going to the borough meeting to discuss that. Third, I have a meeting with the Crow people in Old Main on the 23rd at 4 o'clock. Fourth, the College of Ag is undergoing their because Dean Steele is retiring at the end of the semester. Again, Harvest the Household on April 22nd, Mag Fair, food, ice cream. And go to fun, but don't go drunk.
Sure. Representative Harrison.
First and foremost, I thank Alex Christie for joining us, and I'm going to yield him the floor to update us on elections progress. Next week is the beginning of registration, so everybody get excited now.
Hi everybody, as Andrew just said, the registration for the elections does start on Monday. I'm hoping that everybody in this room that is not graduating is planning on coming by sometime in the next 2 weeks to pick up their registration packet. The Elections Commission office will be 332 Hub starting on Monday morning. That's right down the hall here. Hopefully somebody should be in there pretty much all the time. During normal business operating hours. If not, please check back or, give me a call and I will try and come over your meeting. Also, for anybody in this room who is a senior who's graduating and is not planning on working on a campaign, your help would be greatly appreciated also with the commission if you have time to serve in the office over the next couple of weeks to sign out registration packets. And like I said, if you're not serving on anybody's campaign who's planning on running, please let me know. If anybody has any questions,
Any questions for Mr. Goodstein? Representative Ockelberg?
Sorry, I don't know how election process is really run, but is there any way that you can bring the package here next Wednesday?
Yeah, I could technically do that. I would suggest not doing it though. just because you're not really supposed to be making those type of things public also. Technically, the assembly meetings are supposed to be a campaign-free zone. So by doing that, would kind of be going against the whole idea of the whole thing, so I would actually, I'm gonna say no, I really shouldn't do that, sorry.
Representative Karasik?
Yeah, actually, that would be against our election code. In order to do that, you have to go and get them, campaign materials in this room. I have a question for you, what is the plan for publicity regarding not the elections themselves, but the getting candidates? Is that more important?
Big ones at the moment going to be things like Facebook. We plan on talking to people, like just coming to general meetings, putting ads out around campus. We plan on trying to get a table downstairs on the ground floor, at least once, if not twice, during the registration period, in order to hand out flyers. I think that's something we're going to have to work on a little bit heavier. And like Michael Pike, who is the publicity person this year, has tons of great ideas. He's already been talking to people about trying to get friends of his to work on different publicity ideas. So hopefully publicity will be ramped up a lot compared to last year. There's going to be tons of collegiate advertising. Instead of doing one big ad like last year, there's going to be a few smaller ads. There's going to be stuff on the collegiate website. So there's going to be stuff out there, but if anybody has any suggestions, please let Michael and I know.
Representative Slusser?
Monday morning.
Well, the elections code does say, I believe, 8 o'clock. However, I really don't want to have to be out of bed that early. So assume that I will be there by 10 o'clock.
32
Yes.
Mr. Gavello?
I would recommend the commission take advantage of free publicity on the line. There's public service announcements that are free. You can go and tape. They put the patriotic music in the background. They've done it in the past couple of years. I think it reaches an audience otherwise you wouldn't get.
Any other questions for Mr. Goodstein? Representative Karasik?
At the same time, I recommend you back what's going on page or
Any other questions for Mr. Goodstein? Okay, thank you very much. More comments for the good of the order. Representative Lombard.
I forgot to announce this earlier, but I heard about that there's going to be new raffle tickets at Thon besides the cruise bar and things like that. Apparently, we have this deal work with the Jonas Brothers that they're going to be able to get tickets to any of their concerts nationwide. So you'll win that with their raffle tickets. So if you're into Jonas Brothers, definitely come to Thon and look for those raffle tickets, okay?
Representative Miller.
If the charts that I passed out are still going around, if I can give this back, that'd be great. Oh, and the sign-up sheet, and can I see the committee at the end of the meeting? Okay, thanks.
Representative Wallace.
Thank you, Valerie. I think that I failed to convey the dire circumstances that Wallapalooza is currently in. May 1st is a Friday. It's the last day of classes. I think that it's a perfect date for Wallapalooza. Not to mention, it's a perfect date for the artists that we are trying to get to the event. Mary said something about, the Shriners Honors College maybe being up in arms about the Friday before finals having an event. So if you guys have any ideas of how I could maybe persuade Mary to approve May 1st, it would be much appreciated. Flowers, but we appropriate some funds for flowers to Mary.
Come out of discretionary transportation. Okay. Representative Karasik?
That's all, Valerie.
After my comments last week, I'm going to be err on the safe side and give death stress to 6 people this evening. Those 6 people are Kara Zinger, Haley,
Quinn,
Kayla, thank you, Sam, Mike Wallace, and Daniel Litter. So there you go. And you can all see me for your gift. I have a lot of gifts this evening.
Representative
Thank you to the ladies. Very good.
Okay, Representative Szymanski.
Hello, excuse me, I'm Steve. Alright, yeah, sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting. I missed the adoption of the past general meeting minutes. I would have rejected them because my last name is not Szymanski with an I, not a Y. So I would, please, can we edit that? Because I did not vote for those meeting minutes. I would like to have them amended or changed or whatever it is. I'm just saying, thank you. And second thing I'd like to bring up, Val, why are you presiding over the meeting? You are not the president of this meeting since Calvin is not here. Ralph, it should be you in that seat. And Matt, why are you not sitting up there in the chair position? Seriously, people, we have these rules, okay? I thought that was the rule.
Actually, the Constitution says that Valley doesn't act as president unless Gavin is incapacitated, which I don't think we could have defined. So, I thank you for your comments there. The new representatives can I see up here at the end of the meeting. We're going to go over some business about your committees and do a general orientation. Thanks.
Other comments? Representative Zager?
Okay, slightly more serious, but not really. Most of you guys know the white out t-shirt contest is going on, and so my design is actually one of the finalists. So if you want to go on to collegian.psu.edu, it's design D. It's going to look the best when it's printed, so clearly you should vote for it. So
is it the one with the line?
Yeah, with the stripe like the bottom of it. So
right.
You can vote every 5 minutes if you're so fun.
Other comments? Okay, moving on. Closing roll call, Secretary.
Michael Aldinger. Mike Anderson. Justin Fish. Andrew Guerrero. Sorry. Mark Cannon. Ralph Camelo. Here. Justin Doe. Here. Adam Perone. Pat Gordon. Nicholas Hine. Hubert Hines. Andrew Karasek. Here. John King. Here. Daniel Hirsch. Here. Sam Lohner. Here. Benjamin Lombard. Here. Stephen Lucas. Here. Nick Mance. Here. Haley McLaren. Here. Sean Malloy. Here. Samantha Miller. Here. Christopher Morrell. Here. Christopher Knock. Alyssa Opelberg. Joanne Olson. Here. Greg Plum. Brian Poland. Kelly Potter. Here. Maggie Quinn. Here. Christian Ragland. Here. Valerie Gospel. Present. Amy Sanders. Philip Slusser. Sorry. Richard Szymanski.
Yes, here.
Colin Smith. Matthew Smith. Here. Michael Smith.
Here.
Ricardo Torres. Ian Vickery. Here. Michael Wallace. Yeah. Cindy Wang. Kara Zinger. Here. Nicole Zini. Here. Gina Chang. Here. Kayla. Here. Gretchen Bach. Here. Robin Engel. Here. Chris Caswell. Here. Christina Box. Here.
Okay, meeting adjourned.